everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I'm at New York Comic Con in the Collider studio with the cast of Shrinking. How are you guys doing?
Good. Awesome morning.
I really want to start with how much I love your show, and I'm so happy you are announcing today that you're getting a season 3.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the best.
Us too.
Now, honestly, with the reviews and how good the show is, like, did you have any? Were you nervous at all about a season 3, or were you like, this is going to happen?
We've been writing it for the last 3 months, so so the fact that the announcement goes there was like, well, thank fuck, we haven't been wasting all that
time. So right behind you is New York Comic Con, and I'm going to get into your show in a second. But one of the things about the con and Comic Cons in general is, like, people collect a lot of things. So for each of you, is there anything that you actually collect, or anything that if you get to walk the floor you would buy?
Oh yeah.
Not all at once, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I would my nephew is into K-pop and Korean comics, so I'm gonna have to look at that. And I collect blue glass from France, and I have a whole blue glass collection.
I don't know if you're gonna find the blue glass at Comic-Con, but you never know.
You never know. There's an eBay. Exactly. There's an eBay, you never know.
Maybe.
For me, go on, Luke, please.
Anything anime.
I'm suspecting there's some Muppet stuff around here, which is sort of my wheelhouse. There's got to be, right?
Yeah. Do you own like those old school master replica, like the Kermit and the stuff like that, or no?
No, I have 3 proper Muppets. I have Dracula and Angel from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and then I have the Jason Segel Muppet from the Muppet movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, F you. Go on.
I would do any like PS5 controllers, Steam Deck skins, Stardew Valley stuff, any sort of cozy gaming stuff I would do. We're talking about.
Well, years ago, somebody came up to me and had me sign a doll. It was a Jefferson Darcy doll. Mm-hmm. I had no idea there even was one. So I've been looking for them ever since, and I'm going to decorate my house with Jefferson Darcy dolls. So that's what I'm looking for. Cool. It's always about me.
Yeah.
I would search. There's one thing that I once saw when I was little, and I don't know if it still exists, but a Knight Rider super stunt set. I would see if they had that.
That's A+.
Thank you.
I would want to get into all the blind boxes and just take a bunch home. I just love blind boxes. The element of surprise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have vinyl here? That would be something that I would be into.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually don't know, but sometimes they do. But it's not like collectible vinyl or like hard to get vinyl. It's probably like a Disney store selling like Tron Legacy or something. Which is, by the way, because that soundtrack is A+.
Yes.
It's one of the it's one of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time.
It's great. It's really good.
So
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to your show. There's a lot of people out there who are fans of the show, and I hate doing the generic thing, but what do you guys want to tease about season 2 and like the themes of season 2?
I think that season 2, we always pick like a word that is the true north for the season. And this season it's forgiveness. And so each character and each member of the cast is dealing with something in their lives that they have to make amends for along the way. And so you see like really full storylines for each of the characters and character arcs of dealing with cleaning up the wreckage of their behavior.
One of the things that I really commend you guys on is sometimes with a show, not every character feels like they have like a fulfilling 3-act like arc, if you know what I mean. And Shrinking does such a great job with each character. You feel like you've grown with each one during the season. So can you talk, if you don't mind, about the writing process and figuring out like how are we going to make it so each character, the way they interact and the way that they have a full fulfilling arc?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard because there's so many characters and they're so great, all of them. But the pleasure of writing a season 2 is when we wrote season 1, we didn't have the cast, didn't know who everyone was. So you're writing these characters, and then as you're making it, these amazing actors come in, and then the characters become half them, half what we'd written. And so season 2 is fun because then you're excited to write for all of these people, and you get to like challenge them and go like, you know, with Luke, for example, he didn't get a whole load of funny in season 1, and I know he's funny, so in season 2, episode 6, he has a huge fucking comedy set piece, one of the, you know, funniest sequences in the show, and it's like exciting to give to Luke and go, here you go, you're gonna fucking kill this, and he does. Yes. And so it's joyful and lovely to write for these people, but it is difficult to make sure that everyone has a full story every episode, everyone that it all pays off in 12 episodes as a big arc, and there's small arcs, but that's why it takes 6 months or something to write, and why we have boards all over like serial killers, like around the room, trying to connect everyone to everything. And
you're trying to say that writing is difficult? I always thought it was just like a week of everyone in the writer's room, and you have all 12 scripts.
Basically, yeah. But also what Jason was saying yesterday is true, is this cast, they all work in every combination. So it's also fun to put two characters together who haven't spent a lot of time together, and suddenly it's a whole new double act. And
what's also cool, let me tell you, is Luke didn't just kill it because he happened to kill it. Luke showed up to kill it. It's like Luke got the script, and then there was a moment when he showed up on set, and he didn't say it out loud, but it was like, watch this. and I feel like everybody did that when they were given the material to do it with, and everybody was this year, and they showed up like, oh yeah, now watch this. You know, it's just people killing their storylines over and over again.
And by the way, on top of that, at the end of that day, led by Harrison Ford, everyone went, Luke. Luke. Yeah. It was the most beautiful thing.
It really was.
I'll never forget that. That was a great moment. Yeah.
Speaking of Harrison Ford, like the whole planet, I'm such a huge fan. I could watch him read the phone book and I'd probably be entertained. So for each of you, I don't know if you had any, because I haven't seen all of season 2. I don't know if you have any scenes with Harrison, but can you each talk about like being in a scene with him for the first time and what it's like sitting across from him when you're doing that first scene and you're like, wait, what? You know what I mean? It's fucking Harrison Ford.
I had a scene with him once where I had the first line, and we were about to shoot, and he said, hey, just do me a favor and give me a beat before you say that first line. And I was like, I'll do whatever you say. And I didn't know what he wanted until later when I saw it. And what it was, he built in a moment that was only for the camera of him thinking about who knows what, but it was this moment where we sort of see his loneliness and his sadness, and he just wanted to make sure it was in the clear. And he has a relationship with the camera that is so personal and so it's really tight. And I've learned so much from him just about the relationship with the camera. That's a good point. Yeah, it was pretty special.
I'm looking for more. I'm fishing.
I had my first scene with Harrison, just one-on-one, and I was a wreck because they've done it so well, seamlessly, all of them. But for me, it's Harrison Ford and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I just can't drop that. So I was so worried about going into the scene and trying to be Derek. And so we went through rehearsal. And I was a nervous wreck, and I got through the scene, and I felt so good. And afterwards, he came by and said, "This is going to be good." Aww. And so then we did the scene, and but beforehand, he didn't say a word to me. Let's go. Let's sit down. Let's go. And I thought, oh God, you know. So please God, let me get through this. Got through it, and he came by and said, "It's going to be okay." And then it was so much fun. And I thought, literally 2 years ago, I spent my entire life wondering what would it be like to be in a scene with Harrison Ford. And I made it. And I put that one here. It'll never go away. And I said, I'm keeping that one forever. And because that in some way, I made it somewhere. And that was pretty cool. Yeah.
I think also Harrison dispels any you forget that he's Harrison Ford right away. He's like with this cast, joking around, busting chops, saying, this is so fun. Can't wait to shoot this piece of shit. And my first scene, I know Harrison's my neighbor, so I kind of know him a little bit, but my first scene with him, I was nervous, and Bill wasn't there. He was on set in Bad Monkey on the first season. And I was like, Bill's not here. I don't know what's going on. We just started the show. Like, you don't know what's going on. And Harrison drove his golf cart. We were on location on Warner Brothers. He's taken the governor off, so you can drive it like 400 miles an hour. And drove me 400 miles an hour. His assistant's falling off the back. And I just, by the time we got there, I was like, all right, then it's going to be fun. I'm going to be fine. I got rid of my nervousness.
Oh, whoever.
I would just say, contrary to what Chris has said, I don't forget for a second that it's Harrison Ford. Every single second that I'm talking to him, I'm still 2 to 3 years later going, fucking hell, I'm talking to Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I feel that way about all y'all. Just to be honest, one of my favorite memories with Harrison was I just remember seeing him in the morning, and we didn't have a scene, but he was finishing up one, and I got to work. I was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" He's like, "Doing really good." And then I was like, "You like it? Best job I've ever had." And I feel the same way. So that was just a cool moment. I was glad to hear that from him.
Harrison's assistant's name is also Jason. And so sometimes during season 1, I would text Harrison like, hey man, it was a really great scene today, and I'm really honored to be working with you. And then there'd be a long pause, and then I would get a text back that says like, thank you, you too. Also, my dry cleaning is going to be ready at 8:30 p.m. if you could drop it off in the trailer. And I realized that I was in his phone as Jason shrinking. And that's how it went for about 6 months.
Everything about that is great.
Yes, and yes as well. Okay, you want everybody to do one.
Yeah, no.
Well, normally with these, it's like 2 people answer and then you
no,
move on.
I'm going,
That's all. That's
I'm going
so
fishing
I
for
wasn't
everybody.
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's fun. I don't know if he's ever done any scenes with any like millennial black ladies before. So in his whole career. So it's really fun to just be able to do that. And the writers are great. They have me say a lot of crazy shit to him. Like, talk to him about safe dick and, saying all, and he has to say it back. And so it's really delightful. And it's really nice that Paul and Gabby's relationship is so sweet and tender. And it is kind of like the way Gabby feels about Paul is very similar to the way I feel about Harrison. So it's really nice to have the veil of Gabby and Paul to be able to interact with him. It actually makes playing that relationship super easy to me. It's one of the easiest parts of the show for me is doing stuff with him because it just kind of, the writers write it so well.
My first scene with Harrison, I feel like I had the extreme panic to the point of extreme dissociation, and I just did not think about it going into it. And then, I experienced the same thing as Christa. I feel like when you start working with him, he's just really present and gives everything to the scene and is really generous and listens. And also, before we even started, I remember before we started shooting the scene, he came over to my seat and asked if I wanted to run lines. And that was the first, okay. Wow. Yeah, let's do it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people don't realize that it's so rare of someone to be this generous this far into their career. You know what I mean?
He dispels any sense of awe really quickly, and that's probably a tool. Like, I don't think he's interested in it. He doesn't want your awe. He wants like your collaboration. It's the best feeling. He makes you feel like a contemporary. That's what a feeling,
One of the things about this show is that a lot of people who are watching have probably never been to therapy, but this show is actually giving them therapy without realizing they're getting it, I think. And I feel like I'm learning about myself as I watch, because you're hearing, you know what I mean? You're analyzing things. So talk a little bit about the fact that there's probably a lot of people that are getting helped watching the show without even realizing that they're getting therapy.
That's such a lovely thing to say, by the way. And that makes me feel really good.
Do you want to hold this?
No, I like you to hold it. I'm gonna have you hold it. I'm done, so you can take it out of my face.
I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else, or I can go to another question.
Such a lovely thing to say.
Yeah, and I think so much of that is that it's done through humor, so it makes it palatable. It's like a spoonful of sugar, because we are dealing with really heavy stuff. Like the problems that the characters are going through they're big problems, and all of the characters have such great senses of humor and tackle them with humor that I think people are. I'm hearing from people too that are saying like, this show helps me, which is so moving.
Okay, I'll ask a different thing, even though I'm sure they want me to wrap. So this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's season 2, first episode or 2. So I'm curious, when did you know the character you were going to play? And did you know in season 1 this was going to be your arc? And part 2 of this is there are going to be people who are going to watch the show who have lost someone in their life to drunk driving. And it's going to be very real as they watch this, and it might stir up some memories. So I'm just, and feelings. And I'm just curious, in the writing process, what was it like figuring out how to write this character into the show, knowing that you need to make it real, but also relatable? Like you're close to touching a third rail with this, you know what I mean?
I think a lot of it is, research was the starting point, is reading and listening to lots of personal accounts of this kind of thing happening and people affected by it on both sides. And then I don't want to sound like sort of pretentious, but I'm going to say this, like it's an act of empathy, right? It's that you look at this, a broad spectrum of this, and then you apply it to the world that we have created in Shrinking, and try and put yourself in the space of all of these people. And I think I hope why it's a kind of interesting and challenging story is that the idea of forgiveness is easy. It's an easy concept, but we put it into this world and you go, we will totally understand if Jimmy says, I do not forgive this person. For once, I think it's such a complicated and big idea. I don't think we as an audience will go, oh, Jimmy, come on. I think we'll go, fair enough. Like it's difficult. And I think that that's an interesting thing to explore. And hopefully we have done it with care and love and genuine empathy for the whole reality of it.
A last thing for you as a fan. You said you've been writing for a few months already, season 3. Do you know when you're going to hopefully start filming season 3?
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, I think so.
We're in charge, you know.
Well, I didn't know I didn't know it was a secret that we were doing. I mean, I believe we will start filming sometime in January.
Oh, so it's not so far off.
No, it's
We've
coming.
written half of it.
Okay, this is really my last thing. When I spoke, because even though they're going to kill me, when I spoke to Bill, he said originally you guys had thought about this as a 3-season arc. But then he said, you never know. So my question is it still, for you guys, is it still a 3-season
It's
arc?
5 seasons. No.
We don't know. They do. We
Well, I'm looking at the two of them. Are you?
I don't want to know.
So
from
am
them
I.
Right now.
That was a suggestion. 5.
I don't
like-
want to know from them right now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that makes me. I'm so anxious about it.
Because Bill made it seem like it could go longer,
I love hearing that.
but maybe not.
I hope so.
I'm looking at Jason.
I think we all like to make great work.
Yeah.
And I feel like as long as everyone is making great work and we feel like there are stories to be told, there's always room for that to explore more. But it's all dependent. I think it's fair to say it's all dependent on work being great.
I like that answer, by the way, a lot, because I think that one of the problems is that often shows go longer than they need to because it's just popular and people want to see it. And I hope that if there's a storyline you find, that you keep going. And if you don't, then it's been great. On that note, I really want to thank you guys for coming in. I could ask you a million other
Thank
things.
you so much.
But seriously, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.